With the addition of Stadium Stampede and the Limitless Bunny Bundle, should wrestling fans be all in or all out on AEW Fight Forever? You're about to find out. What's up, everybody? This is Fred Richani of TSC Gaming, here to give our thoughts on AEW Fight Forever on Xbox Series X, the official video game debut of All Elite Wrestling. No, we're not going to count those cheap mobile games. This review is courtesy of the publisher, who provided a game code for us on Xbox Series X. Fight Forever is also available on the Series S, PS4 and PS5, Nintendo Switch, and PC. So all major platforms, and all major platforms varying in gamer feedback, and for good reason. Here's the good news. If you're looking for a fun alternative to WWE 2K, you've got it here. It's arcade-like, with the fun art style that harkens back to the wrestling games of old. At times real old, with lots of wackiness thrown in there, like an exploding barbed wire match. Sometimes this feels like NHL Rock the Rink from back in the day, as opposed to WWF No Mercy, which technically it wanted to be initially a spiritual successor to. Although I gotta say, I think No Mercy had a little bit more content. You see, it's a nice breath of fresh air to see a wrestling game not take itself too seriously. Unfortunately, the team at Yuke also decided not to take the content offerings very seriously as well. Yuke has worked on some of the most iconic WWE titles in the past, and while in recent years received justifiable criticism, it could never be argued their games didn't include a decent amount of content, whether it be a story mode or career mode or showcase or anything like that. Creation Suite, it's hard to make the same argument for AEW Fight Forever. AEW Fight Forever does boast a solid wrestler roster, but oddly enough, the likes of FTR, Santana and Ortiz, Private Party, Tony Storm, and Jake Hager, just to name a few, are missing from a game that lets you play as the long-gone Cody Rhodes and even referee Aubrey Edwards. It's also bizarre to hear Max Caster and Sonny Kiss on the official soundtrack, but they're nowhere to be found in the game. Up until this point, there haven't been too many updates or any kind of real transparency from the publisher regarding new characters being made available. Yes, recently they made available with the DLC pack The Bunny and Keith Lee. They added Stadium Stampede to online mode, which is pretty fun, but I gotta say, there are some fans who bought this on day one and they're feeling a bit slighted, and I totally understand why. Fight Forever is still a young game, but in an industry that moves at a lightning pace, a player base can only be so patient. However, the game does include the aforementioned Cody Rhodes, Young Bucks, Hangman Adam Page, Adam Cole, MJF, Britt Baker, Chris Jericho, and Sting. The Stinger's wrestling video game resume continues well into his 60s. Pretty amazing. But don't expect elaborate entrances though, as the walks to the ring are short and sweet before the real action begins. In terms of the gameplay, it's pretty fun once you get the hang of it. Combos, double teams, unique offense involving Orange Cassidy's pockets, Darby Allin's skateboard, and all kinds of weapons. Pure chaos. There's even intergender matches. Chaos, but usually in a good way. And frankly, that's what makes this game's content offering so frustrating. At some point, at least for some of us, the fun stopped. When the novelty of the exploding barbed wire match wears off, you realize this is a pro wrestling game with no steel cage match? Sure, you got your wacky intergender action, your special effects, but if you want to use a customized character or arena, you're extremely limited in comparison to WWE 2K's Creation Suite. And I get that Fight Forever is meant to be an alternative to mainstream wrestling games, but let's keep it real here. I've played a lot of wrestling games. Fire Pro Wrestling World, and even the fun but low-budget action arcade wrestling have some type of community creation section. In other words, that means those games, along with WWE 2K, allow you to download user-created wrestlers, belts, arenas, etc., keeping your game up to date or as fun and wacky as you choose to make it. So, Creation Suite, a big disappointment to say the least. Fight Forever's career mode, Road to Elite, has some intentionally and unintentionally funny dialogue, albeit without any real voiceovers, campy city tours, and even selfies. But again, it feels limited when you compare it to WWE 2K's 2K Showcase, Universe Mode, GM Mode, and even the polarizing My Rise. The online modes are entertaining with no real issues I could speak on directly, and with the addition of Stadium Stampede, things get even crazier. This Battle Royale style mode is a great new post-launch addition, but I'm not gonna lie, it feels more like a cool AEW branded free-to-play game as opposed to a new mode that justifies spending $60 or more on Fight Forever. In fact, I think maybe they could have just released Stadium Stampede for free, had maybe some cosmetics on sale, and then eventually released the full game when it was ready with an up-to-date roster and some more content. But alas, here we are. One can only hope that AEW with THQ Nordic will provide more post-launch updates with greater transparency, not just for people who bought the game, but especially Elite Edition buyers and prospective buyers down the road. Overall, TSC Gaming gives AEW Fight Forever on the Xbox Series X a 6 out of 10. I certainly can't say this is a bad game. The graphics are solid for an arcade-style game. I actually kind of like the art style. There's no incessantly repetitive commentary. The modes are wacky and fun, minus the cute but kind of useless minigames, and the addition of Stadium Stampede for online play is definitely a step in the right direction. There's so much potential here, but that's also the problem. We're not buying a game on potential, or buying a game because we want it to be one of the pillars of wrestling gaming. If this was a few years ago after the disastrous launch of the critically panned WWE 2K20, I think Fight Forever would stand out from the pack. But it ain't 2019 anymore. WWE 2K22 and most recently 23 have leveled up the wrestling genre, and fairly or unfairly, those are the titles that AEW Fight Forever is going to be compared to. You can have an arcade N64 style approach, that's great. You can have a career mode that doesn't take itself too seriously, that's perfectly fine. But when you have a limited roster, lack of game modes, and a creation suite that pales in comparison to even some of the lowest budget titles currently on the wrestling game market, you send a message that devs didn't take this overall game too seriously either. Here's hoping for a full gear post-launch comeback similar to No Man's Sky and Cyberpunk 2077, because in this crowded gaming market, you might only get one chance to make a first impression. Fans are clearly ready to be all in on AEW Fight Forever. It's just too bad that the content offerings didn't go all out. If you enjoyed this review, please like, share, don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications for more updates like this. And until next time, everybody, as always, enjoy the games.
1, 2, 3. Here is your winner, and still the AEW Women's World Champion,